Good evening. My name is Victor Peoples. I currently serve as Director of Health and Service Initiatives for Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. In addition, I serve as the program lead for All of Us, our All of Us program collaboration with the Black Greek Letter Consortium. Tonight, as we are still celebrating Black History Month, we'd like to bring to you just a have a conversation, I guess we'll say, about minorities in research and how today's actions will impact their futures. I'm going to, if we could put a screen slide on. So I'd like to introduce you guys to the All of Us Research Program. The All of Us Research Program is a research program led by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, to help researchers understand more about why people get sick or stay healthy. The All of Us Research Program is a historic longitude effort to gather data from 1 million or more people living in the United States to create a diverse health database that represents us all. By considering individual differences in life circumstances, socioeconomics, environment, and biology, researchers may uncover paths toward delivering precision medicine or individualized prevention and care for all of us. Next slide. The All of Us, the D9 Researchers Pipeline, is a key initiative of the BGLC, which is the Black Greek Letter Consortium, beginning in the 2023 and 2024 grant cycle. Is the Divine Nine or D9 Researchers Pipeline. This program provides experienced researchers with the opportunity to work collectively or collaboratively, with the National Institute of Health, All of Us research program to gain access to and study extensive health data from diverse populations, especially those underrepresented in biomedical research. BGLC is extending an invitation to members of each of the organizations to comprise the National Pan-Hellenic Council to take part in this unprecedented opportunity. This esteemed group of individuals will be a voice and join the conversation to discuss topics such as the benefits, challenges, and relevancy of minority research and researchers. They will also have access to the All of Us Research Program data browser and researchers workbench, two tools that will provide insight on how lifestyle, behavior, environment, family health history, and other factors contribute to why people get sick and or stay healthy. On the screen, our next screen, we're going to charge everyone on the call today. During the call or following this call, if you are interested in learning more about the All of Us Research Program and or becoming part of the research program, you can scan the QR code on the screen. And additionally, in that respect, we will continue to show that screen throughout the broadcast. Currently, I would like to bring to introduce our first panelist, Dr. Yolanda Whitfield. Dr. Yolanda Whitfield is a distinguished medical professional and retired naval medical officer. She earned her DO degree from Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, complemented by her master's in healthcare administration and business administration from Western University. Dr. Whitfield featured her education with the ED and health profession from A.T. Steele University College of Graduate Health Studies, with her thesis addressed the underrepresentation of minority faculty in advanced academic medicine. After a fulfilling career in the military, specializing in pediatrics, Dr. Whitfield transitioned into a role as a healthcare consultant and instructor with Onslow County Public Schools in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Passionate about addressing healthcare disparities She actively participates in the BGLC Divine Nine Researchers Initiative and the All of Us program. Additionally, she takes pride in her membership with Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, reflecting her commitment to community service and academic excellence. And prior to Dr. Whitfield taking the screen, I would like to also introduce Ms. Jasmine Moultrie. Ms. Jasmine Moultrie is a sophomore at Mercer University, Atlanta, majoring in healthcare leadership on a pre-medicine track. She is a 3-time President's List recipient, volunteer for the Orly Smith Cancer Research Foundation and the American Red Cross, and the grammatis for her chapter of the illustrious Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She plans to become a board-certified dermatologist specializing in MOHS, skin cancer surgery, with the desire to bridge the gap between the minority community and medical advocacy. So if we could please bring Jasmine Moultrie to the screen.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Dr. Moultrie and Jasmine. I think in getting started, Dr. Moultrie, we're going to ask you just a little bit about your journey as it's taken to get you to research. Medical.
Dr. Whitfield.
Dr. Whitfield, yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. St. Kansas. My journey overall, it's been one that I said when I started medical school way back when. We won't say exactly how far that was. Research was talked about, but it wasn't really stressed as much as it has been over the course of time. So now students are having to actually, at least most, in their final years or even in their internship residency timeframe, of having to complete at least one research project before they get certified. So over that time, I was still interested, but didn't have the opportunities as much as some, with traveling, thanks to Uncle Sam, with the military every 3 to 4 years, moving here, there, and everywhere, or being out to sea. So once I got an opportunity, it says I'm now taking the limelight, stepping back some, do a sabbatical of sorts, and said, let's go ahead and do some, what I really like to do is to find out more about where we are. And that came up, as I've told my story once before, is when somebody says, in a sea of a lot of people, where are they hiding you? It says a lot of what we need to see and do more of. And so I want to focus on why, when we walk into facilities, healthcare facilities, when you look at the images on the walls and you don't see very many people of color on those walls, it's like there's a problem, and we need to figure out a way to address it. So that's how I got more engaged in that form of research.
Thank you. And Jasmine, as you are starting your journey, what is that looking like for you, young lady?
Oh, lots of advocacy, if I'm being honest. From being a patient to now being a student, I've seen a lot, so I'm trying to fix a lot without saying too much about the healthcare systems. But I started off as a hairstylist by trade. And during the birth and after the birth of my first daughter, I ended up going through a traumatic experience with the hospital that I gave birth at. And that kind of changed my attitude on what I wanted to do in life, which has put me on this journey to becoming a doctor. Because as Dr. Whitfield said, there's not enough of us. And there's not enough people that are advocating and making sure that we get the healthcare that we deserve and also pay for. So that's my biggest thing. Of course, I've mentioned that I'm a mother, so setting the example for my girls has also put me on this path as well.
Nice. I appreciate you. And also, I would like to also bring on to the service, our panelists also, is Brother Isaiah Sanchez. He's a brother of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated, who is currently attending Cheyenne University of Pennsylvania, majoring in biology with a concentration in pre-medicine. Brother Sanchez.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Just weighing in on what you guys were saying. As an undergrad and a senior, I feel as if it is playing a lot of catch up, kind of to what Jasmine was saying, catch up to many others that maybe have had opportunities that, minorities may not have, but definitely enjoying working towards the goal of being another face to represent us as I'm moving forward.
Thank you. And Ms. Jasmine, you currently have a video for us.
I do. We could play that now. That would be excellent.
Thank you. While we are waiting for the video to play, on your platform, whichever platform you're on, Facebook, Instagram, could you please ask questions in the chat? We will then have those questions answered by our panelists and or Dr. Whitfield. She's still one of our panelists, but yeah, Dr. Whitfield as well. So if you give us a moment, we will be bringing the video on the screen. But while we wait, Jasmine, I'm sorry, and Isaiah, do you have any questions for Dr. Whitfield, especially as with all of us, we are discussing precision medicine. So if we know that precision medicine is basically one size fits all. And so what is your take on this as you take your journey into becoming doctors?
If you don't mind me asking the question first, Isaiah, I do have a question for you, Dr. Whitfield. First of all, thank you for your service. I don't know if I said that the first time that we spoke, but thank you. As a woman in that branch specifically, it's not easy, especially on our hair in salt water. But anyway, so thank you for your service. So my question is, because precision medicine is kind of a touchy area anyway, why DO instead of MD?
So I chose the DO route, not to say there was anything wrong with allopathic medicine. There really isn't. It's just that with the osteopathic medicine, you get an opportunity to be a provider for the holistic approach to a person. We used to say way back in the day, it was like that a layman's term to describe a DO is an MD and a chiropractor combined into one. So, like some took offense to that, but we said, nope, that gives us a full perspective, because not everything requires medicine. It might just be a slight tweak to put everything into perspective. So that's why I shifted more towards the osteopathic version versus an allopathic school. I applied them, but it was more geared for what I was looking for.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I do have a question. It's kind of relating to the DO path, as she was saying. What are some maybe like adversities you face going through DO school? Because I've heard of plenty of adversities going through MD, but I don't really hear too much about the issues of DO school and how that works. So do you have, maybe you could shed some light on that?
Well, if I shed light, it's going to show how old I really am. I would say it's just like allopathic schools. The number of students is low. I mean, it's increased since I first started, but it's still low in comparison. I was going to address that as well later. But it's looking at, so I could say in my class, there were 7 of us. It says 3 females and 4 females and 3 males. That was the extent of us as minorities in my class. That has since changed over time, but nonetheless, it was a small, minute group. And we stuck together. We had to. But it's like the same challenges that some others have faced that I've talked to at other programs. It's the same.
I think you're on mute, Victor.
My apologies. With the All of Us research program, Dr. Whitfield, we are trying to reach 100 individuals to participate, a million, individuals to participate within this program, right? Oh. Okay, so we're going to start the screen. Jasmine, do you want to introduce the video?
Sure. Let's see which one this is. Okay, so this is a great way to segue into why I'm here in the first place. So if you or anyone you know has been impacted by cancer, if you are tired of the race towards a cure for cancer and there's never an actual cure being presented, or if you're solely a business owner that just cares about their community, the Orally Smith Cancer Research Foundation is the charity that should be your choice for cancer charities. Thank you again to the Brothers of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity for this invitation. This video is going to introduce the woman behind the scenes, the woman in front of the camera, and why I chose to join this foundation in the first place. You can go ahead and play the video.
Today, as we kick off Black History Month here at the top, we're excited to introduce you to a brilliant scientist whose treatment for cancer using lasers has the potential to change the game. Please welcome Dr. Hadia Nicole Green.
Thank you for being here. You flew in from Atlanta, where you are a professor at an HBCU. So that's right, that's right. Okay. I know beginning cancer research was deeply personal for you. How did your work start?
So first, let me say thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. It seems like all of my life prepared me to get to this moment. From losing my biological parents and having my aunt and uncle be more like parents than distant relatives, it brought this whole experience very close to home. And all of the little experiences of having my aunt have me in the kitchen with her making cornbread from scratch, baking cakes from scratch, taught me how to do protocols that for me was like doing chemistry, right? Because I didn't have a chemistry kit or a science kit growing up. That was it for me, right? And then she would sit me down and have me untangle all those little necklaces in her jewelry box. If you guys have ever seen the necklaces in an old lady's jewelry box, and I would sit for hours, and that gave me my love for solving puzzles. And then I had a brother who had me doing his 4th grade homework when I was in kindergarten. Oh my God. Wow. And he would celebrate every time I figured out a puzzle, and I had the 4th grade teacher who flunked him, and he had to repeat the 4th grade. She found out, and she started sending me a subscription of Highlight magazines.
Wow.
Right, and so I love solving puzzles, and even though he repeated 4th grade, I ended up being the first in the family to go to college.
Wow. You named your foundation after your aunt?
I did. So the Orally Smith Cancer Research Foundation is named after my late aunt in honor of all the women who don't have a building named after them, who took care of children that weren't theirs. And her journey with cancer was so heartbreaking. for her to say that she would rather die than experience the side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, it was really heartbreaking. And I was her primary caregiver the last 3 months of her life. So I saw all of this transition, and then 3 months after she passed, my uncle who raised me was diagnosed with cancer. I was his primary caregiver. As he lost 150 pounds, all of his hair, all of his eyebrows, all of his eyelashes, his skin was your complexion, beautiful chocolate. It looked like it had been barbecued.
Oh, gosh.
It was heartbreaking. And I said, there has to be something better than this.
That's right.
And people shouldn't have to choose between those experiences and healthy, affordable cancer care.
That's right. That's right.
So explain to those of us who are not maybe as scientifically minded what your research is and how you are trying to give those solutions and fix this puzzle.
So there are so many different analogies. So part of the inspiration was that I interned at NASA and I trained under the people who developed like fiber optics and faster cable and internet, which is what I thought I was going to do in life. And so I ended up taking the inspiration that if a satellite in outer space can tell whether a dime on the ground is face up or face down, or a cell phone can call anywhere on the planet, even in a stadium full of people on the other side of the planet, and target just one cell phone, surely we should be able to use space technology to eradicate cancer.
That's right.
Target cancer cells in the body.
That's right.
So here I am at 22 years old, a 4.0 GPA
That's what
as a
I'm talking
physics
about.
major.
That's what I'm talking about.
And had a full scholarship to graduate school, and I said, you know, why not use this Albert Einstein education to eradicate cancer? So for those of you guys who are not scientists, I'm taking really tiny, tiny particles that you can't see with the naked eye, called nanoparticles, and I designed a new type of nanoparticle, and it's only activated with a certain wavelength of a laser. And so you can shine this laser on the nanoparticles that we inject directly in the tumor, and the laser causes the nanoparticles to get hot, so hot that they kill cancer cells.
And the way she just explained that, it makes you understand it, right, Natalie?
And you're in the
I think when a person like you, I can see why the Girl Scouts named you one of their national role models, because you really, you know, you're an example for others to follow. You're really doing great things. That smart brain, and yes.
So that was one of the most humbling honors, right? So I see celebrities and entertainers and rappers saying, I don't want to be a role model. And I'm like, oh, I'll be a role model.
Yes, we need more like you. You are the kind of role model we need to encourage more young Black women to go into STEM. How did you, as a young girl from, as I understand, inner city St. Louis, right? You grew up in St. Louis. See that my future is in physics and getting one of the first PhDs in physics for Black women.
So, I see you guys have on the screen my uncle who raised me. And there were only 2 times in life where I saw him cry. It was when my aunt passed and the day that I graduated with my PhD in physics. I never imagined that life would bring me here, right? It was an accumulation of all the experiences, from the necklaces to my brother, celebrating every time I got a problem right, doing his 4th grade math in kindergarten, getting the 4.0 grade point average in physics. But when I became a physics major, it wasn't because I was trying to be a physics major. There was this lady named Aisha Fields who became the 50th African-American woman to get a PhD in physics, that led to me becoming the 76th Black woman to get a PhD in physics. And
that's a great thing. But wait, I want to tell you this before you go, too. I love the fact that you talked about cooking being about chemistry.
Yes.
A lot of chemists out there on these I love that. I love that. I love that.
Dr. Green, keep telling your story, because
right.
more need to hear it. Thank you so much for being here with us. To find out more, you can go to thetalk.com to find out about the Orly Smith Cancer Research Foundation.
We'd like to thank Jasmine for bringing us the clip from Dr. Orr Lee regarding the Orr Lee Cancer Research Foundation. I mean, Dr. Hadea, I'm so sorry. Regarding the Orr Lee Cancer Research Foundation. But I know for me, I heard her speak to how she was a role model for the Girl Scouts. But I know that we have a role model here with all of us as well, and her name is Dr. Jennifer Jones. Hopefully she's here with us this evening, but in her own right, when we talk about all of us, when we talk about the BGLC program, I think coming into her driveway at home, you will see her pom-poms and her flashing lights going across her marquee saying BGLC and the All of Us Research Program. Following the video, Isaiah, Dr. Whitfield, or Jasmine, let's get a conversation started.
Oh boy, where to begin? So from the video, I can talk all day about Dr. Green and how amazing she is. How she is on that video is literally how she is in person. I have the honor to work side by side with her. Her biggest thing is there's no big eyes, little eyes. We are all equals. We are all going towards the same goal. And that's literally what she lives by. She's also very humble. Sometimes I feel like she needs to toot her own horn a little bit. So yes, she does have a PhD in physics, but not only that, she has 3. And she has created a technology, a nanotechnology that will treat solid cancerous tumors over a span of 15 days. It has been proven successful in mice with no known side effects, which is amazing. It's something that we've never seen before, something that's never been publicized. And we are so very proud of her and what she's doing. I know that people have concerns and questions quite a bit when this comes up. So if I can answer them during this program, I certainly will. If not, you can go over to orly.org, and all of the research is listed there, as well as the foundation and what we stand for.
So, were you about to speak, Isaiah?
Yeah, I was about to speak.
Go ahead.
I actually currently intern at the Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy in Philadelphia, and I do work in cancer research. I intern, so they mostly work with blood-borne cancers, but it's interesting to hear about the tumor, like the evolution of how well we're working with solid tumors. Because personally, I know how difficult it is to work with solid tumors. They're very crafty, very intelligent. Cancer is very intelligent, very difficult to deal with. So it's very interesting to see. Like, I'm excited to hear more about it. Honestly, yeah.
Definitely.
And as before I segue, I would definitely like to shout out one of my brothers of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated that is currently fighting a great fight. And so, Rashad Sheedy, if you're on, just know that you are definitely in my prayers. I love you, and we are all rooting for you. Dr. Whitfield, we're going to bring you on for a moment. So Jasmine and Isaiah, if you can excuse us right quick, we're going to have Dr. Whitfield talk to us about precision medicine.
Well, thank you. I wanted to explain somewhat about what precision medicine is, more in the layman's terms. I know Dr. Green put it out there really nicely as far as cancer treatments go, and her wonderful expertise. But I also wanted to kind of say, well, what does that really mean to folks like you and I? So if you just upload the slide, I can go through my brief, and then we can go right back to a full family conversation.
Appreciate you.
So just as everybody understands, precision medicine is defined as an innovative approach that takes into account the individual and all their differences. But the goal is to provide a more precise approach for prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of the disease. So what does that really mean for those of us? It means in the sense that it's a way for healthcare providers to hone in and provide safe and effective care based on each individual's makeup. Your genes tell you who you are, how you develop, your eye color, your hair color, how tall you're going to be, how well you process medications. So that's one avenue they look at. They also take in the idea of where you live, because where geographic region you're from will have a different impact on you than somebody from the West Coast versus the East Coast. Just think about the folks in Flint, Michigan, the water system that they had to deal with. You want to look at the age of a person, their health problems. It's like, are they currently taking any medications? And if so, what effect is that having on them? And most importantly is your lifestyle. It's like, when I say your lifestyle, it means from the food you eat to how active or sedentary you may be. I mean, are you a runner, or are you one to just sit that couch potato? That's what precision medicine is looking for, is looking at all of those things to kind of define what specific treatment will work best for you. So next, please. So what are some of the benefits of precision medicine? Well, you heard me say that before, but let me first say, precision medicine is a fairly new term, but it's an old concept. And so what do I mean is, well, we've been doing precision medicine to an extent for years. Just think about the first blood transfusion. It's been more of catering to your specific blood type, not made specifically yours, but something that will be compatible. So we've been doing a lot of things that have been compatible with life. The organ transplants, be it heart, lung, or liver, it's all set to find that piece that's strictly for you. So that we don't have any graft versus host or any things where your body's rejecting it. So it's just a matter of that is how we've been dealing with precision medicine of sorts for years. It's personalized care. That's what it comes down to. It's personalized care. So the benefits of it goes along with, well, how can providers, researchers, pharmaceutical companies, I said one, come together to find new approaches, new technologies to kind of help direct how healthcare is going to go, which is where we need more bodies. Their focus is looking at the patient's genes, their molecular formation, like I said, your eye, your hair color, all those things that make us up as individuals. And then hone in on those things to kind of provide a treatment that is strictly just for you. Now, with those, there also comes some challenges. I don't say problems. It's never problems. There's some challenges to that whole process, because, when you want to go from the smorgasbord drive-through to the steakhouse, it's like the concierge level of care, it's a different cost. That going from one level to the other, that's a whole different cost. And so therefore the cost to do all this goes up. And the sad part about it is that a lot of times the insurance companies where we hope to get that pay doesn't cover those testing, doesn't cover that extensive testing or screening. And so therefore it becomes a little bit more specific to that. The other part challenging is that when training healthcare providers, it's like before, we're trained on specific levels of care. We're trained in the specialties that we so choose to go into. But in dealing with this type of medical care, we are now having to be trained on, one, how to do research studies, how to read research studies, and how to interpret the results and provide care. Because care, everything before was, this is what we have found compatible to that. We get a template of, if the patient has this, 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 and this, then the likelihood is that this will be the treatment that will work for them. But as we know, treatment is not a one-all, be-all, for-all. And that's why we need the number of participants in research to increase drastically. and not just the number of the participants, but researchers. So if we could go to the next slide. So the numbers, I put in a small slide here because this is from the All of Us database in support of it all. And this is just basically giving you an idea of the number of current participants in the All of Us program. Is, as you can see, as far as Blacks, Asians, Hispanics, is way lower than the white population. There's no offense to the white population, but we need more folks like us to join into this program so that we can get things that's done for us catered to fit us. All the treatments and things nowadays have been more so geared from what they've done studies on the average white male. Well, I'm a Black female, and I know my genetics and a white male's genetics are not going to be the same, but yet I'm being treated with some of the same medicines that they are being treated with. And that kind of can affect how I actually, or anybody of a minority stance, actually thrive with the treatments that they're being given. So what is this also, the numbers that also tell, which is hurts us a lot, is if we don't have enough folks in the program as participants, we as researchers, such as myself, don't have enough folks in which to do studies on to kind of say, how can we make this better for our communities? So if you go to the next slide, please. And so as what says is, what about the medical researcher? So with all of us, and I'm one of the members of the consortium, with all of us, there is a diversity that is the core of what they're looking for. It's like they want to stress the importance of full participation, having a full range of everybody from different ethnicities, different races. But the goal is how can we find enough folks to kind of help the researchers do what they can do to help all communities and not just provide standards based off of one. And unfortunately, I went to do, when I did my thesis, I looked up all of the programs in the Association of American Medical Colleges to see how many instructors were there, and it was limited. And then even with the putting in proposals that says schools need to hire more, it was still a lack. Just take this into advisement. There are only roughly about 5% of providers that identify as Black. 5%. When you look at medical scientists, it's 6.5% that identify as Black. It says a small number in comparison to what could be. And so therefore, we need more individuals to look at that, because the key is the demographics aren't pleasing. And then there's other challenges that we end up facing as far as just getting federal funding to do research studies. It's like our counterparts will get more before we even get a dime. So it's doing those kind of things to kind of help push things along. One thing though I will say is that if there's more of us, in a sense, for all of us, it would be one, because we know we would be more inclined to do studies that affect our communities, and it's more geared that way because, as Dr. Green said in her statement, her reason for doing what she did, a lot of us for our reasons for doing it, it's more so because we've probably experienced it or know somebody that experienced it or lived, with those ailments. And so therefore, we'd be more inclined to continue to complete studies on that particular realm of treatments. So it's a matter of how can we do what we can do best and know that we're doing all that we can to do what we can for those that we are so closely associated with, because disparities are going to continue. They're going to be there no matter what. And if we don't stop it and do something with it now, it's going to be more of those of you getting a treatment, you're doing this, and you're just treating the injuries and the diseases, bringing it right back around to continue that cycle of the disease is still there. There's a new problem on top of it. The complications are there. We treat that. We go right back to the cycle. Wouldn't it be nice if we could just find out what it is and be proactive as opposed to reactive? And that's all I have to say for that part. So thank you for listening, and back to you, Brother Peoples.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Whitfield. So while you were giving your great explanation as far as it relates to precision medicine, as we know that all of us is a research program, and one of the questions that came up from a brother, let me get his name, Stephen, where are you at? He asked, was this the same as gene site research?
Say that again?
GeneSight, GeneSight. And it says it's a form where it tests genes, how it may affect your medication outcomes.
It's like there are a lot of innovative studies out there that are looking at all aspects of gene therapy, the genomic therapy. And each one focuses on a whole different venue of things. So yes, that is part of one of those things that says it's not just one technology, there's multiple. But it's all that matters of what can kind of hone in on what that individual person really needs.
Okay. And also we're about to bring Isaiah and Jasmine back onto the screen, but what we also Gibbs, if you could please bring the QR code back up. So if anyone is interested in learning more about the All of Us Research program, you definitely can scan the QR code here and get information regarding how you can sign up and be a part of the program. I do have another question. I'm going to find it. And my screen is letting me find it. Gibbs, are you able to put the question on the screen, please? Well, Gibbs, here it is. So the question is, hello, as a healthcare and pharmaceutical professional, I'm interested in how precision medicine approaches be effectively integrated into maternal health initiatives to address maternal mortality. That's from Ms. Crystal, and I hope I'm not tearing this up, but Charmaine.
Well, it's like, Crystal, that's a great question. And it's same, how to say, everything gets incorporated to address those issues. It's taking it to the next level of getting the OBGYNs to adding their input, finding out from the background of the individuals. It's all tied in to one another, just to kind of say, if you're at family risk, if you're at a high risk or a low risk for anything, it will pick it up. Now, will it find everything? We're still learning on these old innovative technologies. And that's what says the more they come up with new technologies, new innovations, we may get to those answers sooner, hopefully not too late. But definitely, just as you said, once they get all the providers involved, all of the researchers, to kind of make sure we're asking the right questions. Because all the research is all about asking the right question. You can get a lot of data, but if you don't have the right question, it's like it will be for naught.
I do have a quick question. So I saw as one of the cons you mentioned a lack of participants for research, I think it was. I know that fundamentally the community, the minority community and the Black community entirely has issues with medicine and distrust with medicine. How do you think, I know it's kind of a loaded question, how do you maybe approach those trust issues in research and kind of put some people who are mistrustful at ease, maybe?
Our mistrust for clinical research goes back quite some time. And I remember at our first TLC consortium meeting in DC, we got to meet Dr. Watson. He said something so profound during the session that we had to all take it back, says yes. And that was how he stated that the Tuskegee experiment, I'll use that from his own words. The Tuskegee experiment wasn't done at Tuskegee University. It wasn't done, actually, it just, something got the name and that name stuck. So schools and everybody is now trying to change that thing. But the study was actually done by the US Public Health Service. So it was like, so how do we change, as he said, we have to learn how to change the narrative behind some of these experiments to make sure we're putting onus on who it actually was done by. The other part is I would say, don't engage somebody in something that you're not willing to put yourself through. So I would literally say, I'm not pushing all of us just because I want your research data. I'm pushing all of us because I too am also a participant in the data collection. And giving them to say, look, we are all, the information is free for you to see, and you can go as far as you want to go. You give up, you have control over your data. And that's how we have to make sure we get people engaged that says, take control of how much you give and how much you get out of it. But making sure that the person that is talking to you to get you into the program is being truthful and say, are you willing to put your family member through this? Put yourself through it. Put your child through it if necessary. If they say no, then you say, okay, that's not a program for me then. But if they say yes, then say, okay, if you're going to trust it enough to do it, then I will maybe, tap in a little bit. I might not go 100%, but maybe if I gave you 10%, that's still 10% more than you had before.
So I do have a question, Dr. Whitfield. Behind your name, you have a lot of credentials, correct?
Way too many, yes.
So in that respect, a lot of individuals are afraid of providing data or information behind the fact what will happen to my data or my specimens. What would be your advice to tell those that have reservations about joining the program?
That's right. And reservations, I would say just find out the information. Just it's out there. You can actually see the data that's being used and collected without even being a participant just yet. You can't see who or what because it's all anonymous, but they publish quite a bit. And you can see everything that has been collected, like the numbers I showed as far as whites and blacks and everything. All I did was, just to get that data set, was put all of us data sets in my Google Drive, and it popped up that information. Even though I can see more, but I posted what the layperson can see who's not deeply engaged in the research. So you can just do it all, just go through it, ask the questions. And it says do a test run, because it starts off, what most things say, starts off with a survey. So okay. That's before you give up any blood, any urine, anything of true DNA. And it just starts off with a survey. It's like the survey, I forgot how many questions it was, because like I said, I went through it just to kind of see what kind of things they would be asking. And it's like, is there a facility near you? Is that how close is the nearest hospital to you? How many doctors are in your community? How many, is there a grocery store in your neighborhood, or do you have to drive so many miles away from it? it's looking at all of that kind of data to kind of get an idea of, the individuals that are answering these questions before you even give up any specimens.
So I do have another. So in other words, I'm sorry, before I ask the other question, what I'm hearing from you, I heard the autonomy, so that's anonymous, but then also I heard that it's safe and secure.
Yes, it definitely is. I haven't seen any of my stuff leaked.
One of the questions I have that came from the chat, it says, what role does organic meds play in precision medicines, especially with cannabis?
That's it. But I wish I could answer that question, but I have not seen anything as far as organic meds, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I haven't seen it yet. So if I find out, if that person lets me know, I will dig deep and get that answer back to them.
Okay. I'll make sure, Brother Lonnie, if you could make sure that you provide us with your information, we'll properly get that question answered for you. So I'm going to turn this to Isaiah and Jasmine. Let's have it, young scholars, future doctors.
I want to turn the tides on them for a moment.
Uh-oh.
Because it's only fair at this point now.
You're right.
I've heard some of your bio, and I've heard part of your why. So what about research are you looking to do? Because as pre-meds, I know you're gonna have to come across it. So what kind of research are you looking to do?
Isaiah, do you want to answer that since you're at the end of your undergrad?
Sure. So it's just recently that I started really, really getting into research because of the opportunity I've had with the internship. And since I've been working mostly with immunology, that's kind of been like what I've really been looking into. I've always been wanting to be in the front line of research, and just having the opportunity to be a part of it is super exciting. But honestly, right now, I'm really looking into immunology to explore more of maybe biochemistry, just because I find that broad field like very interesting. But yeah, immunology and biochemistry, I says the two fields I'm most interested in when it comes to research.
Yeah, I think that's partially the same for me. I have a fascination with biologics right now, so that's a big one for me. But further than that, I have a personal interest in sickle cell and HS and the T cell count relation between them both. And so that's something that I'm trying to put together. Now, do I know how to begin the research? Not exactly, but I'm doing the research to figure out how to do the research right now for that.
That's always a good start.
That's where I am right now, trying to figure out how to start. So I think you mentioned it earlier, the survey is how you start the research. So I'm trying to put together mine now.
Okay. So if you guys don't mind right quick, we're about to pivot right quick. And we're going to ask Rick to come on, and he's going to provide us some information about a resource that I think is in everyone's community. So we'll be right back. Hello, Rick. So this is Rick Shepard. He is with the Ronald McDonald House and Charities. And Rick, could you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us, what does the Ronald McDonald House do, sir?
Sure. Ronald McDonald House Charities is, it's 50 years old this year. And the whole idea is to keep families near their pediatric patients, of course, babies and children. It's about 400 chapters around the world. So chances are, if there's a pediatric research hospital anywhere in the world, chances are there's a Ronald McDonald House nearby, usually within walking distance. And I'm with the largest in the world, which is currently in Columbus, Ohio, the Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Ohio, with 206 rooms. And a lot of the houses are not nearly as large as ours is. So they're usually like a converted mansion, or it could even be a smaller house with just a handful of rooms for families of patients. But that's our whole purpose, is to keep the families close. Research has shown that, of course, having the family there is very helpful to the young patients. And of course, we're right across the street from Nationwide Children's Hospital, one of the top pediatric research hospitals in the world. And so we actually have a lot of pediatric patients who are in research studies that stay at our house. And that's what I like about the house, is that, there's no cost to the family to stay there. Nobody's ever turned away for lack of ability to pay. So hopefully that helps bring even more diversity to Nationwide Children's Hospital, in that we're able to house anybody from anywhere in the world if they are going to Nationwide Children's Hospital. And that includes, of course, their research.
And what is the cost for someone that's staying at the Ronald McDonald House?
Well, yeah, that's the great thing, is that there's no charge for a family to stay at the Ronald McDonald House. And it varies, of course, from chapter to chapter. At our chapter, it costs us just over $100 per night per room to house a family. If the family is checking out and everything has gone well, and oftentimes it does, sometimes families will come in and they're scared and stressed out about what may be ahead. But with all the advances, thanks to the research that all these folks are doing, they have a hopeful outlook, and they've got a plan to address what's happening with their child. So when they're checking out, we, at our house anyway, will ask them if they would like to give a $20 donation. Most aren't able to do that. I think our average donation for a family checking out comes down to about $5 overall. And so it's a lot of grant money and donations from everybody that help keep doors open for our Ronald McDonald House, for sure.
Nice. So Rick, I want you to stay on the screen. We just had a Garrell McGills. I'm sorry. He is the corporate relations manager with Ronald McDonald House. Where do you say was that, Gibbs? In South Carolina? North Carolina? Oh, Charlotte. Thank you, brother McGill. So I'm going to be reaching out to you, young man. So if we could bring everyone back on the panel, please. Oh, Rick, you have slides. Before you do that, Rick, you have slides, correct? Or did you want to share your slides?
Yeah, it's. Just to give a show of what's inside. If Gibbs has that ready, I'll fly through them. I just want to give folks a peek inside of what a house looks like. Well, first of all, I told you, of course, we're the largest in the world. Now you can kind of see the layout. To the right of your screen is the original house, and then those two wings going on either side of the courtyard are the new expansions, the new wings that we just added just in November to make us the largest in the world. And you can go to the next slide. That's a picture of the actual house from a different angle. The 206 rooms are next to that road you see on the right side. So those are 86 new rooms that have been added to bring us to the total of 206 rooms, making us the largest house in the world. Can you go to the next slide? And of course, the mission of Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Ohio, and this is really the mission of all the chapters, is to create, find, and support programs that directly improve the health and well-being of children and their families. So it's a very wide mission, and that's why when it comes to research, we really support that with pediatric research, in that we have the house for the patients to be there so that they can take part in this important research studies. And oftentimes we'll even put out flyers and things like that in our. We have what's called Ronald McDonald Family Rooms, which are kind of like big waiting rooms that also have laundry facilities and showers and a kitchen, as well as just a place to relax. And we'll put out flyers there oftentimes from research studies so that those families can know that they can take part in research They will do that at the house and also at our Ronald McDonald Family Rooms. You can go to the next slide. So the whole idea of Ronald McDonald House is to provide a place of comfort, compassion, and convenience for families with critically ill children. We offer meals, laundry facilities, activities for the guests, and of course, we're only steps away from Nationwide Children's Hospital, as are most of the Ronald McDonald houses across the country. Usually a very short drive or shuttle ride. Ours is within 500 steps of Nationwide Children's Hospital. And you go to the next slide. We don't just provide rooms, we provide food as well. We have lunch and dinner are always provided for our families. And we're large enough that we actually have a chef that we have on staff. And what will happen is meal groups will come in, usually from like a company or an organization, such as a fraternity. They'll come in, they pay, I think it's like $300 or $400 ahead of time for the actual food. And our chef Blair is her name. She'll go out and procure that food from her resources, so it's at a very low cost, and some of it's even donated. And then that group that comes in to volunteer as a meal group gets to actually serve the families at the buffet, so they get the gratitude directly from the families. That's one of the great experiences, what really makes it a community at the Ronald McDonald House. You can go to the next slide. And of course, kids are intuitive and feel the stress that overcomes a family. And because of the Ronald McDonald House, Seth didn't feel like he was a burden at any point. It helped him to be calm and positive, knowing we were being taken care of, which is what he needed. And that's, of course, from Jill Kemp, a mom of a patient who stayed with us. You can go to the next slide. And this is, I believe this might be the video, and I'll just let it play out here. But we get families from all over the world, needless to say, here in Columbus, Ohio. A lot of folks from Appalachia, and also we also have others.
Ronald McDonald House Charities of Central Ohio is a home away from home for so many families all over the world. Sometimes these families need to travel to access specialized care for their child.
Believing in the Ronald McDonald House has truly helped us all. I'm speaking for myself and my family and other families that live here. It's really a nice establishment, and we've been able to meet other families that are not going through the same thing as my daughter Journey. However, we're all in the same vicinity, and some you think your situation is bad, and you hear other stories that are even more complex. And so we're just asking for a lot of support and blessings and prayers and thoughts about myself and all the families here.
No matter how far they're traveling, families can find comfort here. Families stay together here.
People working there, the volunteer working there, they were like helping, they would help you every time they could. And yes, you can talk. What you want to say, Luis?
Do you remember us?
Do you remember us?
I love Ronald McDonald's house. I love the playground. I love the food. I love the people. But my favorite room in the whole entire Ronald McDonald's house was the princess room, the playroom. It was all about princesses, and I love princesses.
No family is ever turned away from the house with a heart. Please donate at rmhc-centralohio.org/a-million-reasons.
That was a video put together for our campaign to expand our $37 million campaign. We got about $1 million from the community. And that's what that slide's about. Just talking about how we had more than 80 rooms added for the total of 206. A couple of pictures inside. There's even a zoo room. That's the middle picture. You can see it looks like there are trees inside. Those are artistic versions of trees with some giraffes under them. But you can go to the next slide. And we also have the family rooms, as I was talking about, too, in Columbus. There are other chapters as well. Some chapters will have just a house. Some will have just a family room. Some will have a couple of houses, a couple of family rooms. So we're pretty diverse in that we've got one big house. 2 Ronald McDonald family rooms in 2 of the area hospitals, one of them in a behavioral health pavilion. And we're really excited about that because we're the first Ronald McDonald House charities to have a family room in a behavioral health facility specifically for pediatric patients. So just like the house, it's a place to rest. You just can't stay overnight there, but there's food there. They can do laundry because oftentimes they're bedside. The parents don't want to leave, so they'll be bedside and they'll just come and do laundry, take a shower, get something to eat, and they're back to the patient's bedside. You can go ahead to the next slide. That's just a wide shot of the family room, our newest one, in the behavioral health pavilion at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And there's even an outdoor patio there beyond those windows. It's on the 5th floor, but they can go outside, and they're on top of the 4th floor with that outdoor area. You can go to the next slide. We also have the Ronald McDonald Caremobile, which is staffed by clinical service providers from Nationwide Children's Hospital. And there are other chapters also that have these Caremobiles. Most recently, I saw one made in World News when there were the refugees streaming from Ukraine when the war started. Refugees streaming into Poland, and our Polish chapter in Poland put a Ronald McDonald Caremobile right at the border, so that when children, sometimes coming without their parents or family, came across the border as refugees, they were checking on them, making sure that they were healthy with our Caremobile. But it provides medical care, as you can see there, dental care, health education services to underserved areas with limited access to care. Oftentimes this can be inner city areas and Appalachian areas. So we go within the neighborhoods in Columbus, and we even go into parts of Southeast Ohio with that unit. We can go to the next slide. There's a picture of the actual Caremobile. We can go to the next slide. And finally, just pop tabs. People are always trying to find a way to support the house. If it's dollars, obviously, is always the biggest thing, dollars. But pop tabs. You can collect pop tabs and take them to your local Ronald McDonald House. Just about all of them have this program. And very simply, we just recycle them. There's more aluminum in a pop tab than the entire can. And we get so many pop tabs donated at our house. We're open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, even on holidays. And people drop off pop tabs all the time. We get so many of them. We get barrels and barrels of them. And we get about $10,000 a year in pop tabs. And it quite literally helps us keep the lights on. We pay the electric bill with them. Next slide. And that's just more information. We have a whole program for pop tabs. So if anybody's interested with a school or church group or something like that, we'd be delighted to let you know about our pop tab program. And next slide. That's a video. I'm going to skip the video because it's a little long. You can find it on our website, though, under pop tabs. It's a great video put together by one of our animation video partner companies. And we can go to the next slide. And I just want to thank you all for inviting me, especially the brothers of Iota Phi Theta for inviting me to join this panel. I learned a lot myself, actually. And again, I invite any of you, if you happen to be in the Columbus area or traveling through, I invite you to come take a tour of the Ronald McDonald House, because you really have to see it to believe it. Just give me a call or call the Ronald McDonald House front desk and arrange for a tour of your group.
Rick,
yes.
Definitely appreciate you, young man. Thanks for all your insight regarding what the Ronald McDonald is used for. Some may know, some may not, but I thank you definitely for being a part of this webinar this evening. Before we begin to close out this webinar, though, I would like to definitely just thank some people to make sure that I do not forget toward the end, and that will be Dr. Whitfield. Thank you. You did a phenomenal, amazing job. Kudos. Dr. Jennifer Jones and Dr. Joni Cruz Craig for giving us this platform with the BGLC research program. Isaiah, you're going to be on here as a researcher, but as a doctor one day, so you'll be back. We'd like to thank Dr. Green and Jasmine and Pam Good. She's not on, but Pam Good with all of it. Orally Cancer Foundation. And then also behind the scenes, we would like to thank Brother Gibbs Hightower IV. And then on behalf of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated and our international Grand Polaris, 23rd International Grand Polaris, Dr. Sean D. Housen, Senior, we do thank you for this opportunity. But I will be remiss if I don't say this again. If y'all did not hear me prior, I need everybody within earshot. If you can, clap it up for Rashid Riley. We call him Sheedy here in Iota, but we're rooting for him and just keep him in y'all's prayers.
Yes, keep fighting, keep fighting.
We got it.
Oh, it's right there. So, Jasmine and Isaiah, the floor is yours, guys. And also one thing I did not do, there is a website in which you can, if you don't have access to the QR code, you can find out more about all of us right here at https://bit.ly/MPHC. Join all of us. And that's the opportunity for you to take the survey questions and learn more about all of us. But more importantly, if you want to be a part of the program, please do so. But my thing is, I always like for individuals to make an informed decision. But I think you should have learned quite a bit of information to let you know that, hey, they have your back. And there are also, if you can't, there's the QR code right there as well. All right.
And Victor, may I add, funny one is that there's also the All of Us Research Program is having a convention virtually April 3rd and 4th. So here's for researchers to come and see, and anybody else that wants to register to see the research being done with the All of Us data and how it's being handled. So where you get an insight on also not just the program itself, but what's being done with that data from the researcher perspective. So April 3rd and 4th.
And then also, I'm sorry, if you are a researcher and you're interested, or is that what you just said? If you're a researcher, I'm done. Floor is y'all's.
I do have a question for Rick. Before I get to the question, of course, we spoke about orally. We are fundraising. We grassroots fundraise so that the technology, once available, is affordable and accessible to all. So if you want more information, as I said earlier, or if you would like to donate, we would appreciate it so much. Literally $1 makes a difference. So the website, again, is orally.org. If you want to fundraise, we also facilitate those as well. For my question for Rick, so I learned a lot tonight about the Ronald McDonald House. And as a mother, I can only imagine how emotional that whole entire experience is, having a sick child. And so giving children a space to be a child, and be able to escape their reality is amazing. As someone who is pre-med, as someone who is a med school student, or someone even in high school, what would be the benefit of volunteering for Ronald McDonald House, and how would that student become a part of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have, I should point out, of course, that we rely heavily on volunteers. We have about 400 regularly scheduled volunteers. We also have interns. And the volunteers, we call them the heart of the house, because they're really the ones that make things happen at the house. They interact with families, help them get what they need. In fact, I'm thinking of a team right now, our Monday night team. I don't know why it seems to be the Monday night team, but they always seem to have pre-med students who are on that team. And they're part of our go-getters group. And really what that is that family comes to the front desk and they need something, they run and get it. But when they're not doing that stuff, they're actually they're restocking the rooms, the guest rooms. So family checks out, that group of volunteers goes in, and the family puts all the linens and everything in a big pile on the floor. And those volunteers get that into a bin, which goes to our commercial laundry room, and it gets cleaned by volunteers. And then when a room is ready to be restocked, volunteers, the same group of volunteers will go into that room and put out all the fresh linens and that sort of thing. And so I think for them, it's really rewarding because they get to see what happens after the patient's family leaves the hospital room, leaves the hospital. Where do they go? What happens after that? Well, that's where they go. They go back there, and we try to make sure that everything's as comfortable as possible for them because obviously they're going through a stressful situation. The whole idea is to have them be as comfortable as possible when they get there. We've got the food ready for them, and we've got the beds ready for them. And that's thanks to more than 400 volunteers, regularly scheduled volunteers, and just give a few hours of their night, for example. So, anybody who wants to volunteer, check with your local Ronald McDonald House. Ours recently grew, of course, so we'll need even more volunteers. Weekends, nights, once a month, we can do.
Isaiah?
I do have a question maybe for both Jasmine and Dr. Whitfield. How do you guys approach the daunting thing that is, medical school or, osteopathic school when you're getting towards it? As an undergrad, I'm taking my MCAT in May and applying in the summer, and it's a little terrifying. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty scary. How do you guys approach that daunting figure? Or, well, how did you guys approach it? And, do you have recommendations? Do you have tips for maybe undergrads looking into that? And yeah.
I said years. When I came up to that part of having to do, sitting for the MCAT was no fun. It was like, but I went to a summer training course kind of thing, just to kind of get that test run of how to get over test taking anxiety. It was the fact that I knew the information. It was test taking anxiety that got the best of me at times. So it was just a matter of just doing it, questions over and over again, so that you got comfortable once you sat down to go through that test. So just keep finding that strength that works for you. Because what works for one person may not necessarily be your niche, but just find that which gets you comfortable. And if that means going over the material over again, then do so. If it means just the day before the test, I'm not doing anything, I'm just taking a breather, because I always require take a de-stressing moment just to get through it. What do you think, Jazz?
I think that those are excellent points. I do that as well. As a disclaimer first, I am not an ambassador for these companies. This is not a paid sponsorship, nothing like that, okay? But I do have the tutoring resources from the AAMC, and then also Jack Weston. Jack Weston is not cheap, but it is very helpful. They have like a free thing too, if you want to just kind of see how it is. That's helped a lot. I don't sit for my MCAT until next year, but I feel more prepared because I can answer the practice questions on those websites. And then I also live by a mentality of just get it done. And so either way, we've come this far, so you have to do the tests, or else, what was the point of getting to this point anyway? So study, prepare, do it, see what happens, and then if you need to, try again.
So I, again, would like to thank all the panelists and participants behind the scene, those in the audience or viewing this evening. So as we begin to close out, I'm going to charge you all with some closing last words. If we could please make it short, because we are closing this out at 9:30. So we're going to start with you, Rick.
Well, sure. I just want to remind folks that, after you're done with your research for the day, you're doing your part with the research for the day, you go home, just remember, if it's a pediatric research, that there are those families that don't get to go home to their home. They're going to their home away from home, near the hospital. I just say, if you find your local Ronald McDonald House, give them support, and because they're supporting the families that are often involved with research at these research pediatric hospitals.
Thank you, sir. Jasmine?
Same as what Rick just said. Obviously, we are all here because we care about our communities. We care about people. These things that we're doing are bigger than us, bigger than our purpose. So utilize the resources and also help support the resources that are being provided. We literally rely on the public to have these things available. So if you can, please give, please support, please share the word. Ronald McDonald House, Orally, all of us. These are all very important for our community. So I am sending out a challenge to everyone to give 10 Pop Tops, $10, 10 minutes of time, everything in tens. That is my challenge for the rest of this year.
Thank you, Brother Isaiah.
Yeah, I just want to honestly thank everyone for the opportunity to be here and to listen to everybody's insight. Like Rick and Jasmine said, make sure that everyone is kind of starting by looking into the links that they provided, seeing that information and spreading it, because that's really how you start to really make these programs do well.
Thank you, young man, and definitely good luck, Jasmine and Isaiah, Rick. As we are closing out, we're going to bring Dr. Whitfield to the screen alone, guys, and we're going to bring the QR code up again with the information where you can find more information about all of us. And Dr. Whitfield, we're going to give you the closing words, young lady.
So thank you, Brother Peoples. I just want to thank the Iota Phi Theta fraternity for giving us this platform in the first place. So, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have been able to get this information out. Let's challenge any researchers to come and be a part of this program. It will be fulfilling. It will provide you additional data set, because we all know how we need those repositories for information. So just come on out and find out more and be a part of the program. Don't forget, there's a convention in April that will provide even more information. I would love to see us in numbers if we could. And I'm just ever so thankful that I got a chance to be a part of this. So.
Again, we appreciate you all for attending this evening's webinar. Dr. Whitfield, phenomenal. I don't have my hat, but I definitely tip my hat to you. Again, thank you all for the BGLC for allowing us this platform, all of us. And I thank you for all the panelists and everyone that tuned in this evening. Thank you. But more importantly, join the All of Us Research Network. Appreciate you all and enjoy the rest of your evenings.